Hey guys, welcome to episode 71 of The Green Life. Today's episode is all about transformation. We're going to dive into the beautiful story of Jeanette from Ms.FitVegan and her transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. She, 12 years ago, was very, very sick and transformed her life fully as well as her body by taking matters into her hands and truly become the best version of herself by going raw vegan. And when I say she became a butterfly, it's because right now she's still spreading her wings, helping others to get healthier as well. We're gonna dive into everything that she's done, this beautiful lifestyle, and also really paying attention to the things that the media are saying about raw veganism, which are inaccurate and wrong, and really just setting the record straight by looking at people that are doing it successfully and that are doing it well and that are actually healthy. So before we get into the episode, I just want to give a big shout out to Namahuel. However, the J2 juicer is the best machine ever. You guys know I love mine, and I am sharing with you a discount code in the show notes for you to get one if you're on the market for one. And I really recommend the J2 because it comes with a very long warranty. The quality is amazing, not just of the actual machine, but the juices it produces. So look it up. I don't make any money from this at all. If you also want to help the podcast stay alive, then I am actually an affiliate of Dr. Morse's Herbs. I'm learning from him to become a naturopath as well. And I really, truly will love your help by buying the herbs through my link. And there's also a discount code of 5% below. And you can really just support the website that way, the podcast that way, because I do get paid from that. I also have a beautiful retreat here in Portugal, and we have one coming up in September, so not far from now. And it's a beautiful, beautiful retreat that we have created for autumn equinox. But also next year, we're actually opening the retreat in the farm to practitioners. So if you're a teacher, if you're a healer, and you're looking for the space that will allow you to have your beautiful dream retreat, to organize it, and we will support you in all of it, get in touch with me. Okay, let's go back into the episode. As I said, we're going to explore the beautiful journey that Jeanette took to become the best version of herself. And I'm really, really excited because she has been out there really sharing this wonderful news, this wonderful path and lifestyle with everybody. She's also involved with fruit festivals. She has worked with Chef AJ, and I really feel that she has so much to give that you will absolutely love. All right, without further ado, let's get into this beautiful episode. Welcome, Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette. Thank you so much for joining me on The Green Life today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I am awesome, and such an honor to have you here. I am really happy to have this conversation with you. One, because you have a great story to tell. And I really feel like, and this episode is all about transformation, and I don't think there is anybody that can talk about transformation more than you. And then I also want to really talk about this beautiful lifestyle that is raw vegan, especially now that we've seen so much wrong information and also lies in the media. And I think it's a great opportunity to really set that record straight. But before we get there, can we just tell people about you, your journey, and how you got here to be Ms.FitVegan?
Yes, thank you for having me. Ms.FitVegan started off because I was in school to be a personal trainer. And I jumped into, okay, I'm going to do this for a living. So then I started my social medias real quick. And then after a few weeks, I realized that was not for me. You have to be like a doctor. You have to know every part of the body. And I was like, I just want to get fit. And I figure if I help people, I'll get fit. So that didn't work out. But then I had this Misfit Vegan name. Over the years, it's evolved into a misfit in society, which is what I feel like, because it's just so crazy that it's strange to eat healthy. It's very strange. People look at you very strange. Let me give you a good example. So for lunch, I'm going to have this bowl of tomatoes. That's strange. I can admit it. You know what I mean? It's strange. Or maybe I'll have a bunch of bananas. It's not normal, because it's monkeys do that. If I'm on the street and I'm just eating bananas one after the other, somebody's going to come up to me and ask, what's going on? Is this a prank? So I became raw vegan in 2011. Okay. There was no Instagram back then. So I didn't have much inspiration or mentors. And there was some people on YouTube, I think, but I didn't know about them. So I became raw vegan because I had a lot of standard American health issues, always getting sick, constantly had bronchitis, constantly dealing with IBS issues. I was going to all these specialists doing like, all these tests of my gastrointestinal tract and pooping, and they're analyzing my poop, trying to see why I'm so bloated and constipated and feel so nauseous all the time. They could never find anything, of course. And I was tired. I had cystic acne. I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And in 2011, I had hit a very bad rock bottom, and I had tried every other way of being healthy. I did try the lean chicken and fish and steamed veggies. I tried the brown rice. I tried eating as clean and healthy as I thought was healthy, but it turns out that I didn't know anything. And when I learned about the raw vegan diet, that's when my whole world exploded, because it made sense to me. And I'm not saying that you have to be 100% raw to be healthy. No, no, no. You have to be conscious of what you're putting in your mouth to be healthy, because we know there's a difference between a sweet potato and a Beyond Beef burger, or, like McDonald's or whatever. Like, we know there's a difference, but we refuse to like really accept it. So we just say, oh, I can't be raw, so I can't be healthy. Or, I can't be vegan, so I can't be healthy. But that's not true. So yeah, that's I guess just a little bit of my story, and ask me any more details that you want to know.
Yeah, actually, a lot of things came up for me. Thank you for sharing that. Very good highlight. And well, first of all, in 2011, as you said, there was no really a mentorship into this transitional period from a standard American diet into, a raw vegan. And although there were some raw vegan, and raw veganism actually in 2011 was kind of picking up, a lot of people were talking about it. The restaurants started opening, but there was no guidance online. It was more like, this is like a fringe movement that, maybe goes back to the hygienist movement. And so you know it or you miss it. And I'm just wondering, obviously in your family, you probably were the only one doing this. How did you manage to integrate your new lifestyle with their lifestyle?
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody loves fruit and vegetables, but it's not a meal, that would be absurd to have a meal of tomatoes, that would just be absurd. Or a meal of fruit, because that's just too much sugar. Or like a salad, that's not a meal, because, there's no protein and it's not filling. So when I started eating this way, my family, they thought this was like the end of me. They really did think I had an eating disorder. They called me like a fanatic, and, I was always obsessed with food and dieting and stuff. And so they just thought it was another diet. But then after a year or two, they got really concerned because I was still doing this crazy thing. And they were very, very concerned. But like, nobody can really like shake me, because when I learn the truth, when I hear a truth, I know it. And so even though they were really scared for me, my mom was crying, saying, you have to eat protein. You're going to die. Like, meanwhile, I'm the healthiest looking person in the family. Like, my acne is gone. I lost weight. But of course, when you lose weight in a standard American household, that's not really healthy. Everybody wants to lose weight, but then when you start losing weight, people are like, oh, you see, you're wasting away. You're dying. And I was not dying by far. Like, I looked like this, but maybe a little heavier, so like, it's interesting. They didn't support it at all, but they love the smoothies and the cheesecakes and I used to make so much stuff. The first like 6 years of being raw, I made all the gourmet stuff, and they loved it. But like, they definitely didn't come around until, no joke, like 9 years into being raw. So this is why I always try to tell people, stick to it, because it might take your family 5 years, but it took my mom 9 years to actually like start to admit that this was healthy, and she started eating more fruit and more vegetables, making smoothies and juices. And she was like, okay, I'm going to do the best I can. They stopped calling me names, and it took 9 years. So
Wow.
stay strong, guys.
No, definitely. That's a big testament to staying on course, even though people around you don't understand you. And it's funny how our families are supposed to be our support system, but sometimes they really are the biggest obstacle. So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And I want to say that I read this great quote about that, Chantel, which is your friends and family will start to support you when strangers start to celebrate you. And my mom, she saw like online, I had like, some supporters, and I had a YouTube channel, and I was getting like views and comments. And she was like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, there's all these people saying they love me, and I inspired them and I helped them heal. So she's like, oh, wow, maybe this is something. So I just wanted to say that because a lot of us get like so offended and take it so personal when our families don't support us, but they're not really supposed to, because it's not their journey. You're being tested. If your family and friends are not supporting you, it's because the universe is testing you to see if you're really serious about it. Because maybe if they supported you, you wouldn't take it so seriously. Maybe you would it wouldn't be as hard. And the things that are hard always give you the biggest rewards. So just stay strong.
Very true. Thank you for that. And how's your family's health now after getting on board with your lifestyle?
No. So my family didn't do so well. Most of my family members are not here anymore, unfortunately. But for different reasons. Okay. So my grandpa, prostate cancer, my grandma, diabetes complications, my mom, heart attack, my sister, cancer. So, my family's not here anymore, unfortunately. But, I just thank you for asking that question, because this is a very important topic. When it's raining, it's too late to fix the roof. And when it's sunny out, the roof doesn't need fixing. And that's a Jim Rohn quote. And it's very difficult to reverse disease. It's possible, but you have to have a lot of discipline and a lot of willpower. And you're going to have to, spend a lot of money probably, to reverse that disease, whether that's going to a retreat center or water fasting center, really like doing lots of juices and lots of things. But that's why I try to get people to prevent. Okay. It's possible to reverse, but it's so much easier to prevent. So my family, unfortunately, none of them went raw or vegan. They just started, my mom just started drinking more juices and smoothies, but it was too late, unfortunately. So I say that, and thank you for bringing this up, because if my mom was not smoking, not drinking alcohol, she was not eating animal body parts, she'd still be here today. She died before her time for sure. And so did my sister, and lots of people in my family. So please start to, even if you're not sick now, start to act like you are, and start to take care of your body like it's an emergency before it's an emergency.
Yes, that's a great message. And I'm really sorry about the family losses.
Thank you.
But very good message to bring home. I have the same issue with my dad, especially, although now he's on a full, mostly raw diet, because he's working with me, because he has heart disease and diabetes, and so we're reversing it slowly. But he's also on a bunch of medication, which obviously I have to work with his doctor to slowly wean him off from, and they're not very understanding of lifestyle, so it's a little bit of a journey. But I also said to him, you have abused your body for 70 years. I cannot work miracles. You have to just be patient. And I'm
yes.
really open best.
And that's another thing in this society, like we have to wean people off medications. And my mom refused to get off medication. So she was eating lots of fruit and vegetables. I got her a juicer, I got her a blender, but she refused because the doctor scared her so much. So she was on all these medications. And it's like she was scared to stop poisoning her body. That's what the society's doing to us. So like, I mean, they are literally telling people, if you stop taking this, you're at a really big risk. for having a heart attack. Meanwhile, she had a heart attack. So like, I just want to say that it's very interesting when we look at society, and like it's dangerous to stop taking these horrible drugs that have zero benefits to the human body. It just stops the symptoms constantly every day, stopping the detox, stopping the symptoms. And if you keep stopping it, it can't get out, and it just goes deeper and deeper into your cells. And you have a major problem then. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of you and really happy for your dad. That's absolutely amazing. He's so lucky to have you.
Let's see how it goes. So we always,
yes.
the journey for sure. But I think, you can only, I've been an example for a very long time, for 10 years. And so I just hope that they're like, okay. I mean, he ran to me and asked for help. So that's a good point. That's a good sign. Yes. I also wanted to say, you mentioned you had acne. And actually one of the things with acne can obviously, and you had cystic acne. So it can leave scars. And I think you're testament of how much your body can heal, because your skin is actually flawless.
Thank you.
It's radiant, and that's from the food and lifestyle. So can you talk to me about that journey? Because a lot of people do have issues with their skin, whether it is breakouts or acne per se, but they don't understand what is going on, and they try to obviously go on some medication like Accutane, or they go on, if they have acne, or they go on extreme, products. They spend a lot of money on products and they don't necessarily work. And then, of course, dermatologists have this really bad habit of giving people antibiotics for acne, which is baffling to me. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the compliments. They don't know what to do. It's scary. In our society, the experts don't know what to do. So like I was also given antibiotics for acne, and I took them because like it's a doctor, it's the experts, and nothing helped. And I tried so many prescriptions, topical, over the counter things, just spending so much money on special treatments. And so for me, the only thing that worked was changing my diet. And yeah, the scars took years to go away. I just want everyone to know that. And I still have some. I still do. I have, and I don't know. You guys can't see
it, no.
But I just want you guys, people are like, oh, your skin is so beautiful. I get compliments all the time in person. And we're talking about the skin and we're talking about what to eat. But it's really about what you don't eat. It's if I tell you tomatoes are great for your skin and you eat lots of tomatoes, but you also eat processed foods, oil, animal products, then it's not going to do anything. You can't out eat a bad diet. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know what I mean? Like you have to eliminate the problem. And for me, the problem was definitely the dairy and the processed foods. I was eating a lot of like gluten-free foods. Okay. Like everything was gluten-free, because I've been gluten-free since 2008. Because I started, just learning more. I never knew about a vegan diet, but I learned gluten is really bad. So I cut that out. That was on my journey. But the gluten-free food had eggs, and the gluten-free food had all these ingredients that we don't know what they are. If you don't know what it is, it's harming your body. And so with the skin, I wrote a book. I have it here, actually. It's called the Raw Vegan Beauty Book. And it has all the things that I've used on my skin that I tried that worked, and some things that didn't work. I write what's in there, like what didn't work. And the only thing that worked was changing my diet. And there's some other cool things that I did. An aloe mask is so helpful. I actually did one yesterday. It's been a while. So you just take fresh aloe, you cut it in half, you put it on your skin, you leave it for 20 minutes. Well, I just left it, but like you leave it for 20 minutes and you wash it off, and it's so good for your skin. Great for acne. It's antibacterial, antifungal. Aloe is just truly a miracle. And if we were living in a healthy society, that would be like the miracle drug of our society. Aloe, great for digestion. You can take it internally. You can put it on topically. So good for eczema, everything. So dry skin, oily skin, I recommend aloe. And you gotta stay away from processed foods.
I agree. Yeah. Actually, let's talk about the food for a moment, because I think one thing that will come up for everybody, and I think you probably experienced this, is there is not just the societal habits of eating in a certain way, our family habits, but there is also an addiction, that we have a physiological addiction to food. And I know that you are really an expert on that, so you share a lot about it. And I'd like to go into that into details, because food addiction is probably the biggest, I guess, wall for people to climb over and actually get healthy. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I do consider myself an expert because I lived through it and I overcame it, and it took a long time. I mean, like it took, 38 years to be where I am now, which is, I can have all the crappy food in the house, the vegan donuts and all that stuff, and I don't want it. Finally, and I never thought in a million years that I could live in a house with chocolate and pizza and all these things and not eat them. They're in the house because I have a roommate and she's my best friend and she is a recovering junk food vegan. So sometimes she still eats vegan junk food every day. So I guess she's still in recovery. But anyway, so a food addiction is something that makes you feel like you are not in control. Okay. So it comes from, there can be many ways that it evolves, but basically we don't realize that we have the power over the food. We think the food has the power. And where it started was to numb emotions, to numb ourselves from the pain of being alive. It's a painful experience to be a human. And we have lots of things. Everybody has a story. Everybody's been through a lot. And some people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to food. Some people go to therapy and find healthy ways to deal with their pain, crying and, hitting the bed and talking it out, or, forming healthy habits like yoga and breathing and journaling. But like, we're not taught this. We're not taught that our emotions are normal. We're taught to be quiet, to sit still. We're taught to stuff everything down because you have to go to work, you have to go to school. Don't make a scene, no yelling, no crying. A lot of us, we're not allowed to release our emotions. So what we did was we stuffed them down. And, the feeling of being full is a very it's a very comforting feeling. We all, don't like to feel hungry or like that emptiness inside. So some of us feel very, very empty emotionally, and we're trying to fill it with food, and it doesn't work and it backfires. And so a lot of us, most of us are eating foods we really don't want to eat, but we feel like we can't not eat them. And so I learned that we choose the self-sabotaging because, well, we think that that's what we deserve. Okay. We're not worthy of working hard for. We're not worthy of taking really, really good care of. We're not worthy of spending the extra money on the produce, and there's so many clients I see that, I tell them, okay, I teach them about the tropical fruit, mame sapote. I was supposed to bring a knife and cut it open. Have you had this guy yet?
I haven't. I have a tree though. I'm waiting.
If it makes it. Where are you?
Northern Portugal, but we have a greenhouse, so we are attempting this to happen. The mangoes are doing okay.
I needed to bring a knife. Maybe I'll get it later. But basically inside it's bright orange and it's so delicious. And I tell people, treat yourself. Buy yourself some tropical fruit. And they're like, they call me and from Whole Foods and they're like, Jeanette, this is going to be $15. I can't buy that. That's crazy. But it's like a glass of wine at a restaurant is $25. Mm-hmm. Like a meal at a restaurant, this is a meal, and a meal at a restaurant is $50. So what, it's just like, we don't even understand that it's not even more money to be raw or to be healthy. It's just a shift in, I'm worth buying this piece of fruit that is $15, that is going to give me health, that is going to nourish me, and I'm worth it. I'm worth being nourished. I'm worth being taken care of. Feeling unworthy is the root cause of all addiction. And once we realize that, awareness is the first step in the healing process. Once we realize it, we can start to make changes. But we also have to acknowledge it. And we have to realize that our brain is trying to be proven right. So if you don't think that you can do it, then you cannot do it. If you don't think that you're worthy of spending the money on being healthy, then you will not spend the money. You'll spend it on being sick. you'll spend it at the restaurant eating the crappy food, you know, because subconsciously you're like, no, I don't deserve to be healthy. I'm a bad person. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not disciplined enough. All these I ams. Watch your I ams, because that's really like determining your life and where it's going. And the last thing I want to say, you know, is not about the food. It's not about the food. You know, you can have a food addiction and be raw, which is what I did. When I went raw, I didn't like get rid of my food addiction. I was eating like so much food, so much raw food. And I was healthy, and I was losing weight, and I was getting healthier, but like I was really bloated every day. At the end of the night, I was stuffed to capacity, but like I was doing way better. So I figured, you know, this is better than, you know, getting really sick on McDonald's and stuff. And it took a long time for me to realize that I was harming myself, even with raw food. I was just nonstop eating, not dealing with my emotions, stuffing myself, you know, to capacity where I couldn't even move at the end of the night. So finally, I dealt with my emotions just a few years ago. And now I help other women to do that as well. I get a lot of requests from men. So maybe I'm going to do a mixed one. But right now, I have a course called the Food Addiction Freedom Course, which is for women only. And if you're interested, we'll leave the information below. So you can get more information on that. I think there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Thank you. You're amazing. You hold space really nice. So you never interrupt me. I'm just going to go forever. I really like that.
Oh, no problem. Well, you're sharing good information, and I think people need to learn. So
thank you. No, you're really good, because you know I do a lot of interviews, and some hosts like they constantly like interrupting you, so you can't really get out everything you wanted to say. And so the last thing I wanted to say was that when we're doing actions, it's proving our brain right, and then our brain gets a hit of dopamine. Our brain gets like a reward. So, like for example. You know, if you say you're going to go out for a walk and then you go out for that walk, your brain's like, yes, we did what we said we were going to do. We proved ourselves right. We were right. Okay. Now, if you are saying either consciously or subconsciously, I can't be raw because I always break. I always give into something. I always have to eat the donuts, or then you do it and you're like, wait, I didn't even want to do this. But your brain is lighting up and saying, yes, we did it because we said, like, we're proving ourselves right. So just be careful there. You have to watch your words. You have to watch your thoughts. When you have a thought that is not conducive to your new life, that's not helping you get healthier, change the thought. You stop. You can do it physically. You can just stop if you're walking or, you know, cleaning or whatever you're doing. You can stop and say, thank you so much. I don't need that thought anymore. And you think a new thought, which is, I am healthy. I love eating healthy food. I love being raw. Like me, I'm going to be raw forever. I love being raw. Like, it's so delicious and amazing. And I just can't imagine more delicious food on earth. And it happens to also be super healthy. So it's like, I mean, I'm not suffering at all. And there's so many people that are out there that are trying and they're suffering. And it's just like, you're not going to be successful like that. So that's all I'll say about that.
That is, yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I love listening to you because I think a lot of it also resonates with my journey. I had eating disorders since I was 17. I was anorexic, and then I just went through all the spectrum of eating disorders. And I only realized that it was emotional like when I turned 30. And it took me a couple of years. And to be fair, when I went vegan, actually, the food addictions really went away because there is something energetically that was obviously in the animal products that really didn't align with me, because I wasn't living a life that was aligned. I love animals. I was eating them. I was obviously living in dissonance, which is most people, what they do. But I think that alignment, and then obviously actually, why am I filling my body with so much food in my binges? What am I trying to cover up? And in the last 2 years, I've actually really explored going more raw. So I'm 95% raw, and things have been coming up and the healing has happened. And I think one thing I said to another speaker that was on the show is, when you go raw, you feel raw because you can't escape the emotions. And especially when you get to a point where you're not actually overdoing, you're not binging anymore, you're not stuffing yourself, you're actually eating what you need. And so, you know, listening to you, not only does it make sense, but also I think that so many people really need this coaching and the help, because we don't live in a world where our emotions are catered for positively. We are actually bombarded by more insecurity, especially through social media. And so people are struggling, especially when they're younger. So, your work will actually probably touch even more so as you go forward, a lot of the younger generation, because they find themselves trying to be perfect online and mimicking what AI is now going to be telling them that is right and wrong. And it's like, that's not you. You have to be authentic. And authenticity comes with actually feeling these emotions, not stuffing them up with food and or other addictions. And addictions is definitely a big one for this world. And, you touched even on your mother taking medication. That's addiction as well. They get addicted to taking medications. So it's very powerful. And thank you for doing the work that you do with that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I never even think about the younger generation, like how horrible it must be to grow up in this day and age being like a preteen and a teenager right now. And I never think of it because I'm 38 and I'm so far removed from that. But like, comparing ourselves to the AI images, to the Photoshop images. I mean, I had that. I don't know how old you are, but I had that when I was young with magazines, right?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And so how old are you?
42.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Yeah, you look like 22. I don't know. Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody, you can't trust the vegan community. The healthy vegan community, you don't know how old they are. But anyway, so basically, it's just, well, if anybody's watching this and they are younger, or just anyone, you don't need society or anyone to tell you that you are beautiful to feel beautiful. You don't need anyone. A lot of us, we don't feel good enough or beautiful if we don't hear it. And I want you to know that you can say it to yourself because you are a person and you matter. And so if you say it to yourself, well, you say it over and over and over and over again, you'll start to believe it. You'll actually start to believe that you are good enough. You are beautiful. You are worthy. You are smart. You are disciplined, because society is telling us, in order to be beautiful, you have to like have ridiculous proportions that don't make sense unless you have surgery. It doesn't, there's no one on earth that could have these proportions unless they are altering their body. I heard stories about celebrities getting ribs removed to, have smaller waists. And of course, implants and like all different types of things, horrible things that lead to a lot of health issues, but you're not going to know about them. Okay. They're just, these celebrities are just they're not going to tell you what they're dealing with. They're just going to pretend that everything's great, but it's not. So I just want to say it to yourself, the things you need to hear from society. Because society's not going to tell you that you're perfect the way you are. Society wants you to buy products, makeup, and surgeries, and more clothing, and more face masks, and all these things. So yeah,
very true, very true. They bank on the insecurities of people, big time.
Absolutely.
I actually want to bring two things together. I would love to talk about transitioning to a raw vegan diet, doing it right. So eating the food, but also bringing in what we have now been seeing for a couple of, for a week now. We had a raw foodist that passed away, Zana Dart, right? That was her like online name.
Yes.
And obviously the media went full blown. It's the raw vegan diet. It's unhealthy. These fruitarians are crazy, and of course, no studies, no facts, just opinions, which then are published as facts. And the thing that worries me is that the general population that actually is not educated will read that and then will parrot what they're reading and have a stance in it without knowing better, and have a conversation with somebody and be sure that they know what they're talking about. So I'd like to actually clear that. And what do you think the issue was there? I obviously also have some opinions. I looked at her page, and I looked last year in October to now, and I possibly think that aside from an eating disorder, she might have been sick with something, because that was a very quick deterioration and she wasn't online as frequently. So I think she was probably going through something health-wise. But of course, that could also still be an eating disorder. And I like to differentiate between somebody having an eating disorder versus the lifestyle, which is not actually conducive of an eating disorder. Can we talk about that? Especially because it really works well with addiction.
Yeah, great question. You know, so for Zana, I really can't comment because I have no idea. I have no idea, and I do want to preface by saying I'm so sorry to her family and friends and everyone that was affected by her loss. We have no idea what was going on until we do know. We can't judge it. I know her mom said she had an infection. So many people have been messaging me. Someone told me she had uh, pancreatic cancer. She was on chemotherapy and radiation. Oh. We don't know. So everyone's saying, she had an eating disorder because of the raw vegan diet, or, that's half the people. The other half of the articles I've seen is saying she was eating a raw vegan diet and that's how she starved. And so many people, they believed even before her death, her tragic death, they believed that if you eat just fruit and vegetables, you will waste away. I've had people say to me, they're like, wow, I don't know how you keep your weight on. If I ate like you, I would waste away. I've been hearing that for 12 years. And it's like, but you don't know because you've never tried it. Okay. So, it's been insulting to me many times where people say, wow, if I didn't eat bread, wow, I'd be so skinny. I don't know how you're not so skinny, and people say these things and they don't know. Well, now I don't care. Right. Because I don't want to be super skinny anymore, but I used to. And people don't know that it's you have to watch your words, because just a simple conversation can alter the direction of somebody's life. And I'm not saying you're giving them an eating disorder, but like it could be contributing to, a very like a feeling that somebody might have, and then you're confirming, oh, I'm not good enough, or I should be skinnier. So anyway, yeah, I want to say that I think a lot of diets out there contribute to eating disorders or help them to, manifest or, like come into fruition, because a lot of diets out there, you have to restrict. Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, The Zone. I was on all of them. A lot of the diets you have to restrict. You have to have a certain amount of calories, a certain amount of protein, carbs, fat, macros, count your macros and micros, all these things. And it's like, well, that becomes like you become obsessed and you start to have this compulsive behavior where you have to write everything down that you're eating. And when I found the raw food diet, it was such freedom, because finally I didn't have to write down everything I was eating. I didn't have to count calories. I could just eat what I wanted whenever I was hungry. I could eat when I was hungry, and then I could stop when I'm full, which, is easier said than done, stopping when you're full, when you don't know when you're full. But eventually, I learned how to know that. So I don't know what happened with her. I do know that the raw food diet and an eating disorder, like you said, is two different things. And there are 10,000 women in the women and men in the United States that die every year from eating disorders. How many of those, that's just the United States, how many of those people were on a raw food lifestyle? Maybe one, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm getting a lot of messages. I know for a fact, if my family was alive, I would not hear the end of, they would be sending me the articles nonstop. They would be talking to me nonstop about how I'm going to die, even though, it's been 12 years for me. I know for a fact that, the people that are around me now are my friends, and they know not to say this to me, but my family, they would have been like really concerned and blaming the raw food diet, saying it doesn't have enough protein. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. Me, I'm not a theorist. I'm a practitioner. So I've been practicing a raw vegan diet for 12 years now, 100% raw. And I promise you, the result of the raw food diet is not death by far. The result of a standard American diet is disease and death. And so that's how we're living in a very backward society where like one person passes away that was promoting raw foods, and all of a sudden it's the raw foods. But if somebody else passes away, for example, I think Sinead O'Connor just passed away.
Yeah.
See, I'm not really in society, but I think I saw that.
Yes.
Well, did anybody ask what she was eating? Did
No.
anybody ask what kind of diet she was on? No, they didn't, because she wasn't promoting a raw food diet. You
Hmm.
see, like if Zana wasn't promoting a raw food diet, nobody would even bother thinking that it was the diet.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that society's sick and twisted, and eating healthy, they want us to think is dangerous.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and that's how you know there's something going on in society.
Absolutely. So on the back of that, how can we show people that actually you are on an abundant diet? So can we talk about what you eat in a day? I know you do a lot of mono meals, but what is
Yes.
it? What can people if they're like, okay, I love tomatoes, but I'm not gonna have a whole meal of tomatoes. What can I have? What can they
Yeah.
have?
Yeah, you don't have to. That's crazy. Like, after 12 years, I got a little crazy. But okay. Well, I love mono meals because they are just so simple and easy. So whatever's in season, I buy a lot of it. It's usually cheaper. It's ripe. It's amazing. And I have mono meals mostly. So for example, I will have a whole meal of just peaches.
Oh,
These are
wow.
donut peaches. Okay, no problem. These are like really cool looking donut peaches. Yeah, I'll have like, I don't know, maybe 10, 8 to 10, whatever, however I feel. Sometimes you're hungrier than other times,
Mhm.
right? So if I work out, I'm going to be really hungry. If I don't work out, if I'm just on the computer all day, I'm not going to be as hungry. So I would have that for breakfast, no problem. Oh, for lunch would be, the mame sapote or a smoothie with, 8 to 10 bananas, or half a watermelon or a full like honeydew or cantaloupe. I like to do that. Sometimes smoothies. And then for dinner, so fruit for breakfast, fruit for lunch. And then for dinner, I always have a little bit of fruit, maybe some grapes or some oranges. And then while I'm making my meal, I'll snack on some fruit. And then I will have a big, big salad with
Mm.
lots of fruit and veggies in there, avocado, cucumber, tomatoes. Um, it's pretty much the same things, even though like I'm not really big into the variety personally. Okay. I do have a lot of variety, but I always have the same things in my salad. I'll mix up the greens sometimes, arugula, or I'll have spinach, put kale in there. I like the spring mix because it's a big mix of different greens. Make a really good dressing, and that's my day.
Mm.
If I'm hungry after dinner, I know for a fact that I didn't eat enough during the day. And
Mm.
it's no problem. I'll just have some fruit after dinner, or I'll make some nice cream, if I'm truly hungry after dinner. You see, but I learned that I have to wait. So after I eat my big, big salad, I wait at least 20, 30 minutes. And then I see, okay, am I still hungry? Because a lot of times I'm just back in that, like, I love to eat and
Mm.
I'll just eat forever. I love to eat. I'm a big foodie. I love to eat. But then if I give myself 20, 30 minutes after a meal and I'm not hungry anymore, then I know that, oh, yes, I was full. Okay, so that's something I've learned. And you can do the raw food diet in many different ways. There's so many variations. You can have um, you can have a smoothie for breakfast and lunch. You can have a salad for breakfast, a salad for lunch, a big, fruit meal for dinner. You can mix it up and do whatever you want. The most important thing is that you feel good, you feel energetic, you're not hungry at the end of the night, and you are eating an abundance of fruit and veggies. Nuts and seeds, you don't want to have them in abundance because they're kind of dehydrating and they don't really have the juicy water. We really want water. That's what
Mm.
we are made of. So we really, really thrive when we have foods that are very high in water. All fruit and vegetables are, of course, high in water. Nuts and seeds, they're debatable as far as like, the place in our diet. I still eat nuts and seeds, but technically, a seed is something you put in the ground to sprout a fruit tree,
Mm.
or, some type of tree. So, and the nuts, you look at nuts in their whole form, they have this covering that we cannot even break. But
Mm.
like with a tomato, I have like the most beautiful tomatoes right now. With a tomato, it's on a vine. You pick it and you eat it. It's just so simple and it makes so much sense. The raw food diet to me just makes sense,
Mm.
and everything else just doesn't. And so yes, I have seaweed sometimes, but to me, it's like I only have it when I'm craving it because it doesn't really make sense to me. Like seaweed as a human food, because I swim in the ocean every day here in Florida. and I don't want to eat the seaweed. But if I was at a mango farm, I would want to eat the mangoes. If there was mangoes floating in the ocean, I would be like, you know what, I'm going to sneak a mango, but I don't ever sneak any seaweed. So that's how I eat, but you can do it however you want. And you can even eat raw tofu, which is a very popular way of eating raw breakfast, raw lunch, and then a nice, healthy, vegan cooked food dinner. You'll be super healthy and satisfied. And if you want to eat like that, I would say go for it because you don't need to be raw, 100% raw, but you do need to eat more raw food than cooked if you want to feel alive, look your best, and just be your most vibrant expression while you still have the chance.
Yeah. And with the raw diet, you mentioned the dehydrating foods such as the nuts and seeds. And I think maybe this segues into a lot of people wanting to have more gourmet raw vegan, which obviously can be dehydrated food a lot or very complex food that can be obviously also expensive. So how do you feel about those kinds of food? Do they have a place in a healthy vegan diet? Should people actually use them regularly or should they be treats? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think people should eat the way that they want to eat, that they feel the best. So I know for a fact that I don't feel my best when I eat a lot of dehydrated foods. I feel dehydrated. So I feel my best when I eat lots of like figs, and I ate all of them. There were so many, but figs and peaches and, you know, all types of fruit and vegetables. But with the dehydrated stuff, you want to do it if you want it. You want to treat yourself. You want to, you know, you're craving pizza, make some raw vegan pizza. You know, don't try to like suffer through a salad if you really don't want a salad. Something that really helps is making the dehydrated food and then putting it in a big salad. This really, really helps. And, you know, I've had my share of dehydrated foods in the last 12 years. You know, I've had everything. And I've noticed that if I go to a restaurant where I'm going to have a lot of dehydrated foods, if I drink green juice or celery juice beforehand, and I have like lots of watery stuff beforehand, I will feel better than if I just eat the dehydrated foods and there's no like water helping me to replenish the water that the food's taking out. Because, you know, personally, dehydrated foods and cooked foods, it's like the same thing. It's really like the same thing. Both of them are going to dehydrate you and take water from your bones and your organs in order to digest it. So what you want to do is you want to load up on water and hydrating foods, fruit and vegetables, green juices and stuff before you eat that food. And I know some raw vegans that eat a lot of dehydrated foods. They have a lot of gas and bloating. They don't feel great. And it's because that's even worse than cooked food sometimes, like really, because it's so dense and concentrated. Whereas like a sweet potato or like steamed broccoli is like still watery. There's still water content. We need to focus on the water, not on anything else. That's what we're made. It's so funny because I'm curious your opinion why society makes us focus on the protein when we should be focusing on how much water content did you get today. You know, imagine if people were like, you know, you need to eat a certain amount of watery foods in order to replenish the water inside of you. Instead, we're focused on the protein as if we lose protein, which we don't, you know? So it's interesting. But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I had on the show Brenda Davis and Visanto Melina, who came and talk about their new book, which is actually about the plant power protein. Because obviously in the angle there is we have been pushed to eat these whole protein from animals, otherwise we would just die, when actually it's not true. We can get all the amino acids from the vegetables, mostly fruit, pulses and tofu and whatever, and be okay, because the body actually anyway deconstructs the whole protein that we get, and then that's a lot of work, and then it has to just use the different amino acids for different parts of the body. So it makes no sense, the whole protein argument. And of course, in Visanto was saying that came up because obviously there was, after the war, they were worried that people didn't have access to enough food. They were worried about calories. I mean, nutrition has evolved a lot and it continues to, not always right, but it's a very evolving science. And I think we're not yet there yet with actually thinking we can actually get all the amino acids even from fruits and vegetables without having to worry about even adding pulses or tofu, for example. And I mean, some pulses like, sprouted chickpeas would be brilliant, or sprouted lentils are brilliant. So there is a lot that we can do anyway, even if we want to stay raw and still add some pulses. And of course, you have different camps, different opinions on, Dr. Moore's. I work a lot with him and he's brilliant. But of course, he works with very extreme cases. So for him, adding anything that is acidic in the body makes no sense. So pulses are a no-no, grains are a no-no. You need to just be mostly on fruit, especially when you're healing. People are not dying from deficiency of protein. And I think it really comes from there. Like historically, it was the big thing. And of course, there is always financial interest. We are in a very corrupt society with governments and big corporations. If you can exploit an animal that doesn't have a say, doesn't have rights, and you make money from them, you're going to do it, right? If they're so inclined. So we've never been taught that. So it's we need to wake up to the truth of who makes the policies, who pays for them, and actually makes decisions that are much more aligned with our essence as human beings, which is to elevate and not be stuck in this death circle.
Absolutely. And yeah, you hit a great topic too about like everybody wants to follow the gurus. What does the gurus recommend? And it's like, I guess I'm some people's guru because they ask me. Like people ask me, like, can I eat lentils or like, can I eat quinoa? And it's just like, and they want to know, do I eat nutritional yeast? Do I do this? Do I do that? But like everybody is at a different level and everybody's on their journey at a different time. I ate so many different things when I first went raw that I don't eat now because I don't want them. I don't crave them and they don't agree with me anymore. Things like cashews and cacao and nutritional yeast. Like these are things that I really enjoyed. I needed them when I went raw. I needed to taste the cheesy sauces. I needed to have chocolate because I was addicted. And, like how amazing you can go raw and still eat chocolate, and you can still have nice cream and you can still have all the things. You just got to find the healthier versions. You got to pay a little more. But, it's interesting because I feel like as a whole, we don't trust ourselves. We don't think that we can make the right decision. So we look at other people and we say, okay, what are they doing? How are they eating? I'll eat just like them. And then you fall off the diet because you can't eat. You don't want a bowl of tomatoes. You don't want it. But like I do. So like, yeah, that's what I'm doing in my courses. And when I talk to people and Misfit Mondays, which is my community, I'm trying to help people understand that we're all at different levels. We're all different humans, even though we have the same species specific diet. We're all in different places of the world. We all have different taste buds. Some people love sweet. Some people really like salty, way more and crave that. So we have to stop looking at other people and just take what resonates with us and leave the rest. And no matter what I eat or don't eat, that is not the be all end all. Okay. So, and I'm still struggling in many ways. For example, I'm struggling to stop eating late at night. I just am in such a bad habit, which I've been working on recently. I'm in such a bad habit eating dinner with my roommate at like 10, 11, midnight. And this is horrible. No matter what you're eating, you could be eating the best diet on earth, which I am. And you could still be not sleeping good, wake up bloated the next day because you had a really big salad at midnight. And like your body's not designed to eat at midnight. So, now I've been really on my path. I'm setting my alarm and have notes all around the house, stop eating by 8 o'clock. That's the goal. And I've been doing it for a while now and it's really helped me so much. So I just want everyone to know that everyone is struggling with something. A lot of the gurus, they won't tell you though. They won't tell you. They have no struggles. They have no health issues. And by the way, I got a blood test today. So Chantal is doing this interview. She's so kind. We're doing it a little late because I went to go get a blood test today and a urine analysis because I want to get everything checked so that I can prove that I'm not dying, because I'm getting so many messages, like hundreds of thousands of messages and emails about how I'm going to die. I'm going to be protein deficient. I'm definitely omega deficient, iron deficient. What are my blood test results? And I got one last year if you want to see it on YouTube, but I just got one. I'll get the results in 2 days, 2 to 3 business days. So I'm excited to prove that I'm okay. I'm alive and I'm not dying. I'm not starving. I'm not suffering. I have no deficiencies. And no, I don't take any supplements either. I don't take any
Okay.
supplements. And you don't need to if you are not deficient. So get a blood test and see if you're deficient.
I mean, I know
Before,
in an ideal world, our we wouldn't need. I mean, your gut bacteria, if you have a good population of microbiome, you're even supposed to create enough B12, but that's not really usually the case for most people. So in my practice, I definitely I do test people, and I
yeah.
definitely agree with if you have deficiency supplement, if you don't, not necessarily B12. I'm like, well, better safe than sorry because a lot of people just don't have a good microbiome, so just take it. And D in the winter because I mean I actually see mostly more than B12, I see D deficiencies like nonstop.
D deficiency in the winter is very, very common. And yeah, I would say if you're living in a place where you can't get any sun, you probably want to do that. But for me, the B12 thing, I learned a lot from Doug Graham on this.
Mm.
Um, because it's like, I had a lot of discussions with him on it. And, it's almost like he says, you might get cancer of the nose. Should you cut off your nose just to be safe? And so when regarding the B12, I used to take it, but like then for me personally, I just feel like if I'm not deficient in something, why take it? So I do agree. I think we should get tested. I think we should find out if we are deficient. And if you are, then take it. But I am against the supplementation if you're not deficient because
Mm.
I feel it causes deficiencies. That's my personal opinion. I have a lot of friends that just take B12 because, better safe than sorry. But I mean, I'm just experimenting on my body. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so to me, if I have a deficiency with the blood test I took today, then I'll take a supplement and then I won't have the deficiency anymore. To me, it's not like, B12 deficiencies, they take so long to happen. And
Yes.
also you also will get the symptoms and then you can just supplement. Doug Graham helped me a lot to understand that I don't need to be afraid
Mm.
of not taking something. It's almost like my mom. She was afraid to not take her vitamins, like her
Medication.
prescription pills. Yeah, her
Mm.
medication. So anyway, that's my
Yeah.
personal, but I always recommend everyone goes within and how they feel best. If somebody's going to stress that they might become deficient, they should probably take a supplement.
Yeah.
It's not worth the
Yeah.
stress. It's not worth the
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah. And, as I said, testing. I mean, don't guess when you can know. That's really the
Yes,
first
yes,
rule.
yes.
Amazing. I mean, I'm really wary of the time, and we went over because I know that you have a lot to do. So,
No way. We went over?
yeah, yeah, we did. We went an hour.
Impossible. It feels like 5 minutes.
I know, and I think the conversations are very very organic, which I like always because I feel like there is such a big discussion to be had about the subject, and people need to. There's so much that they can learn. So maybe we can do this again. I really enjoyed it, and
Yeah, me too. Me
and
too. And
yeah,
we eat organic, so that's probably why the conversation's organic.
there you
I
go.
guess.
I
There you
like
go.
that. I like that. I
A
will
dad
put all
joke.
your links in the show notes, but very quickly, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'd love to interview you and I'd love to be back on your show because I can't believe that was an hour. But you can get in touch with me by going to ms.fitvegan on Instagram or Facebook, YouTube as well. I have a private community called Misfit Mondays where misfits, fruity cuties from all around the world come to meet on Zoom at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. You can ask me anything. And the best part of this community is that, like, I'm the least knowledgeable person in the community. Like, there's people that have been raw for 20, 30, 40 years in the community. There's people that, like, I answer the questions, but then I'm like, wait, can you guys answer? Because you guys know more than me. Like, I love it because, they say if you're like the smartest person in the room, get in a different room. So I got in a room of all these amazing people that are not only, like passionate about health, but they're living it. And, they've been raw longer than me. We just had Ann Osborne 2 weeks ago. She was at my private community, 33 years fruitarian. So I love asking her questions and she's always available to me as like a mentor to help me. And so yeah, misfitmondays.com. You can also download my free raw vegan recipe book at 100freerecipes.com. And yeah, I hang out on Instagram and YouTube a lot, so check me out there. And again, thank you, Chantal, for having me. I love talking to you, and yeah, let's definitely do this again. And I would love to interview you as well, if you're open to it.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for being on the show, and I cannot wait to talk again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jeanette, and thank you everyone for staying on to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did and actually learned a lot, especially on food addiction and what a raw food diet really is and how it can help you to get better and how to do it right. This is very important information. As I said, in light of what the media is sharing about it, we need to make sure we're clarifying and we're sharing the truth and not just propaganda. All right, if you want to work with Jeanette, go into the show notes. I have all the links and all the programs available to you, and I really feel that this will make a big impact on your life. Now, guys, as always, if you like the episode, please do share it, like it, make sure you give us reviews and help us grow on all the platforms that you are watching us on or listening on. And as always, I'll see you next week. Bye.